What's going on, Blitz team? So I've got a Blitz team topic for you. And in this video, we're going to talk about Michael Jordan's supposed time off during his baseball career. Now, I've seen some people say, and it comes from the LeBron 3-6 Mafia, right? And they'll say, well, Jordan, Jordan, they'll say like 3 years, and their timeline's not even right. He took 17 months away from the game of basketball after his father was brutally murdered. And there's been all sorts of conspiracy theories put out there. And that's not the main point of this video, but let me cover this at the beginning. Oh, well, he got away in his because of his gambling, and it was, his father was murdered because of gambling debts. And I'm like, do you not know how much this dude was making from Nike and Wheaties and Chevy and McDonald's, and him not being able to pay off gambling debts? All of that stuff is so dumb that I'm not even really going to distinguish it more than I already have. So let's put that aside, right? So his father was brutally murdered, and Michael Jordan's father always thought that he should be a major leaguer. At the very least, be a two-sport star. So grieving his father's death, Michael Jordan decided to step away from the game of basketball and step onto a baseball field and take up baseball. Now, this is where a lot of the misinformation comes from. And I've seen it on social media. You see stuff on social media. It's like, whatever, right? But I came across a clip, and it really energized me to make this video. And it was that knucklehead Chris Broussard. My sources say Chris Broussard. I'm not a fan of the talking head shows. I don't watch them. I'll catch a clip from time to time just to see what type of stupid stuff they're saying. And sure enough, he was comparing LeBron and Jordan. And he said, well, Jordan had a couple years off when he went to play baseball. Well, apparently, he doesn't have any sources in Major League Baseball because maybe they could have corrected him with this supposed time off. So let's quickly debunk this notion that Michael Jordan had time off when he went to play baseball. Now, I don't know how many of you have watched the documentary called Jordan Rides the Bus, but it is an amazing documentary on his baseball career. And it really covers how hard he was working and how really hard it was for him to deal with the passing of his father and the way he integrated with these minor league baseball players and some of the hurdles that he was trying to jump over in the minor leagues. Now, one thing to keep in mind, if you follow baseball at all, you know that a lot of these high baseball draft picks, like you could have number one overall picks that spend a year or two down in the minor leagues. A lot of your highly touted baseball players, they spend a lot of time in the minors honing their craft, and then eventually they're brought up to the major leagues when they're ready. It's not something where you just jump right into the major leagues. So Michael Jordan was heading down a very familiar path for a lot of Major League Baseball players. So since Chris Broussard can't provide you with any sources as to the challenges of the leagues that Michael Jordan was playing in, I'll provide you with one of my own. Now, there's this gentleman on Twitter, former Major League Baseball player, Jerry Hairston Jr. He played for the Baltimore Orioles, the Chicago Cubs, the Texas Rangers, Cincinnati Reds, New York Yankees, San Diego Padres, Washington Nationals, Milwaukee Brewers, and Los Angeles Dodgers. And now Jerry Hairston Jr. does the pre- and post-game shows for the Dodgers. He played every position in baseball except for pitcher and catcher. His grandfather was a major leaguer, Sam Hairston. I'd say he knows a thing or two about baseball. He was also part of the 2009 World Series champion New York Yankees. You can look up some of his highlights on YouTube. He had a walk-off RBI when he was playing for the Orioles against Mariano Rivera. So this guy knows what he's talking about. And Jerry Hairston he's a big Jordan fan. And if you guys don't follow him on Twitter, I would suggest that you do. He's got a great Twitter account, really cool guy. I've corresponded with him. Jerry Hairston's really cool, man. So there were a group of us on Twitter, and we were all tweeting about different things, and I remember I had retweeted something about Michael Jordan's baseball career, and I noticed that Jerry Hairston responded to it, and he said this. He said, Jordan played minor league baseball in the Southern League with the worst travel schedule in American sports. 8 to 15-hour bus rides. Folks, 8 to 15-hour bus rides. It was a really big deal. You know, when they had to break it to Michael Jordan that they didn't fly from game to game. They rode the bus. Hence the documentary, Jordan Rides the Bus. He played in 142 games in 150 days, plus he played a winter ball. Very important here. Now, let's just first of all look at that schedule. Does that look like time off to you? And Jerry Hairston says, and I quote, "If anything, it aged him." So as you can see here, from a former Major League Baseball player and now a Major League Baseball analyst, in his opinion, that brutal schedule is the worst in American sports, and he says it probably aged Michael Jordan. Hardly sounds like time off. But wait, there's more, because it's not just about the schedule. I've got more quotes for you. Very important stuff here. So this is from a recent article. Just ask Kurt Bloom, who's still in Birmingham, calling Barons games for the 27th straight season. And I quote, "Not a day goes by I don't think about that 94 season. I spent 150 days with Michael Jordan, played basketball with him, remember trying to set a pick for him in a pickup game, only to have him tell me I don't need that." Bloom's daughter, Chloe, is going to turn 25 in August. She was born right after Michael rubbed his wife's belly for good luck. He says he saw him struggle for a few months, but he also saw him become a ball player right before his eyes. He worked his butt off, but he enjoyed himself and bonded with the team. I swear he was going to the majors. Now, that quote, he worked his butt off. Let's take a look at how hard Michael Jordan was working in minor league baseball. You know, the supposed time off that he had. Here you go. Or ask Mike Barnett, who was the batting coach for the Barons that season and is back with Francona, of course, Terry Francona, as both the Cleveland Indians replay coordinator and an organizational hitting instructor. Quote, "Michael would go after it 5 times a day. In the cage before breakfast, regular batting practice, soft toss, game batting practice, then after the game he was back in the cage. His hands were blistered and bleeding. His intensity was off the charts." Let me read that again. 2 important quotes here. Michael would go after it 5 times a day, and skipping forward, his hands were blistered and bleeding. His intensity was off the charts. Doesn't sound to me like a guy that was taking time off, does it? Now, quickly, back to how important this was for him, you know, with the passing of his father, how much his father was on his mind, which you saw in the documentary Jordan Rides the Bus. Mudcats 5-1 in the bottom of the 8th. Jordan hit a 2-0 fastball from Kevin Rochelle over the left center field fence. He slowly circled the bases, then was mobbed at home plate as he pointed skyward, mindful that he had just given his father, born on July 31st, an early 58th birthday present. Quote, "It still makes me emotional because I wish he was here to see it. But I know he saw it," Jordan said. So that just goes to show you how much this was about his father. Now, there is this notion that Michael's baseball career was a just massive failure. And I understand why that was the narrative, because here's the greatest basketball player of all time, and he was struggling in the minor leagues. Just from, you know, an uneducated point of view, doesn't look good, right? Well, that couldn't be further from the truth. Jordan hit his 3rd home run on August 20th, a solo shot off Glenn Cullup in the 7th inning of a blowout 12-4 win over the Chattanooga Lookouts at the Hoove. He was hitting 195 at the time, but closed out the season with 1 3-hit game and a pair of 2-hit games that raised his average above 200. In his last official game, a 4-2 win at Huntsville on September 3rd, he went 0 for 4 to finish at 202. But it says that's not bad for someone who hadn't played organized baseball since his senior year of high school. We're talking about 12 years here, folks. Then in the Arizona Fall League, against even better competition, he hit 255. He was on his way, I thought, Barnett said. And Barnett would later become the hitting coach for the Blue Jays, the Royals, and the Astros. So as you could see, those 5-a-days, not 2-a-days, 5-a-days were starting to really pay off. And also on that documentary, Jordan Rides the Bus, Terry Francona, 2-time Major League Baseball Manager of the Year, and he was the manager of the 2004 and 2007 World Series champion Boston Red Sox. I'd say he knows a thing or two about baseball, right? He said that Michael Jordan was on his way to playing in the major leagues. He didn't improve that rapidly, right? After all those years away from baseball, you see all these high draft picks. It takes a year or two in the minor leagues to even get up to the major leagues. High baseball draft picks. He didn't improve that much by sitting on his ass. A 251 average in the Arizona Fall League, folks, against better competition. You just saw the quote. So in summary, did Michael Jordan have time off in his 17 months away from the game of basketball? No. You saw from Jerry Hairston himself. He said he thought Michael Jordan aged himself. You saw the schedule. You see that he was training 5 times a day. He was in that batting cage a lot to the point where he had blisters on blisters. I mean, you know Michael Jordan's work ethic. And we're talking about the South. He's out there in the heat, 8 to 15-hour bus rides. Folks, it's fake news to say that Michael Jordan took time off. Just because people don't want to appreciate the grueling schedule that he was under playing minor league baseball. So to Chris Broussard and anyone else claiming that Michael Jordan took time off and he was able to recharge his body and all this and that, you don't know what the hell you're talking about, and you look like an idiot. It's hard to believe that he gets paid to talk sports. So I wanted to correct the record on this issue. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, Blitz team, but I'm going to get out of here, and I'll talk to you again soon. Fake news.